everybody, and welcome to the September edition of the Product Talk podcast here on the Autonomous IT Network. Really excited for our topic today, which is mostly just getting to know our new product management leader, JoLynn Dixon. JoLynn's also based out of Colorado, like I am, so we are fairly close together, although we're doing this virtually, obviously. JoLynn brings with her a ton of experience in product management. She's coming in to lead the team and change the way that we operate from the perspective of how we work with our customers, how we prioritize their feedback in the product roadmap to ultimately realize our vision of autonomous endpoint management, which we'll talk about in a second here. But first, I just want to introduce JoLynn and just have her give a little bit of an overview on her previous experience, as well as just a high level of what she's going to be doing at Automox.
Thank you, Peter. So as Peter mentioned, my name is JoLynn Dixon, and I am the Senior Director of Product Management here at Automox. A little history about me. I have spent my career leading product and design teams, and particularly focusing on endpoint management, compliance, security, in different sorts of industries. So my role at Automox is really to make sure that we're not only building the right things, but we're building them in the right way. And where I want to differentiate a little bit is taking it a step further and really focusing on the ease of use and allowing our users to set it and forget it in a way. And with that, we're also allowing our users to trust us and giving them the information and actions they need when they are needed. Otherwise, we want to make sure that we're building things in a way that our product is very usable and that we are doing the work for you.
Awesome. Thanks, JoLynn. Yeah, and I think, we're really excited about you being here, obviously, from an operational perspective, just to kind of help with how fast we're trying to release features and also help us to realize this new vision around AEM, or autonomous endpoint management. It's a relatively new concept. I know I've seen some vendors out there talking about it, and you mentioned that you've been in and around endpoint management and compliance tools for quite a while, and I think what we've come to realize is there's a ton of tools out there. There's a ton of features out there. But every year when the DBIR comes out from Verizon, the Data Breach Investigations Report, or any other reputable stat, it's, the storyline is always there are more vulnerabilities. They're taking longer to fix. There's more incidents, more breaches. And, we ultimately believe that those older tools and that older approach to endpoint management is really not fixing the problem, right? It's maybe putting a Band-Aid. That's probably generous, honestly. And we've really worked hard over the last couple of years to determine what our vision should be, and autonomous endpoint management is where we've landed. And for those of you who aren't familiar, AEM is really trying to take endpoint management and modernize it with what we have out there today from the perspective of AI and just new technology and automation, honestly. So really what it is, right, is infusing that intelligence-driven set and forget automation within endpoint management tools. So it's less focused on, I can do X, Y, Z as an IT administrator all myself with all these features, and more focused on I set my desired state of configuration, of patching, of reboot enforcement, and then the system will take care of those repetitive previously manual tasks for me. And it's really about taking your risk and burning it down, and then also providing the best possible end user experience for the actual people within the business that IT team is serving. So I know I've been talking for a while, right? And I think you've been here for how many weeks now?
2 months, almost exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 months. So 8 weeks, right? And, I think one of the things that you kind of came in during was this end user experience launch that we just announced yesterday as of recording. But when you're listening to this, it'll be a few weeks earlier in the month. And with this launch, we really try to take the first step towards addressing the experience of the end users that the IT team serves to kind of build a stable platform that we'll build off of in the next couple of years, honestly, to realize this vision of autonomous endpoint management. And, we've seen a lot of agent releases, a lot of stuff with our agent and the Automox tray over the last couple of years. And this is kind of that next big step from those releases. So if you're curious what that launch is comprised of, we did a press release. We have some supporting materials as well linked in the press release in our monthly newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to the monthly newsletter, make sure you are. If you're not getting it and you are a customer or something, it's probably in your spam folder. So take a check there. That's kind of our vision at a high level, right? And that's all great, right? Great to aspire to getting this autonomous state. And I think our approach to automation is actually already delivering pretty great results for our customers. We did our reporting launch earlier in July, just before you came on board, JoLynn. And one of the findings was across our whole customer base, we have a 17-day mean time to patch vulnerabilities, whereas the industry average for only critical vulnerabilities is 70 days, whereas ours is 17 days across all vulnerability types with that automation first approach. So going back to my initial kind of point, right? Like the vision's great, but how are we actually going to get there? So I think the first question that I assume most people are wondering from a product management person is, how are you going to work with me as the customer? What are you going to change, and how are you going to make sure that you're listening to us and you build what's important to us?
Yeah, so to kind of address the vision part of it first, totally agree with you, Peter, on where we're headed with autonomous endpoint management. And the way I see our vision playing out over the next couple of years is we do have some gaps that we're working to close that are more focused on making sure that we're giving our customers what they need to enact endpoint management. Things like remote control, device coverage, reporting that builds trust. But then the second piece of that is innovating with intelligence and insights. So those are kind of the two areas that we're going to be focused on. And then I would say actually the third one is building an ecosystem where we work together. So Automox should be the action layer that works seamlessly with the other tools that IT admins already work with. So we're really trying to address those three areas with our vision to make sure that we're addressing needs, but also innovating and bringing that intelligence into autonomous endpoint management. So when we think about the customer experience and how we're going to bring this all together, we are setting up several new ways that we're going to work with our customers. Joining design sessions, user interviews with our design and product team, testing early features, being a part of advisory sessions that are going to be coming soon. We want to make sure that if you are a customer of ours or a potential customer and you have input on our roadmap, that we are giving you that opportunity to speak with us in several different ways. So yeah, that is something where reach out to us. We will be reaching out to you as well to have you engage with us in those opportunities.
Yeah, this one's really important because I think, me personally, like I'm a customer of a couple of different software tools that I use at Automox. And whenever I get reach outs for things, I'm like, why do they care what I have to say? I don't have anything valuable. And I can promise you that is not the case. If you use the tool, you probably have some input. You don't have to come to the meeting and like conjure up all these thoughts. Like our teams come with a bunch of questions with things to show you that will prompt you. So like if you have used the product, if you have used endpoint management tools, if you have a perspective on how things should work, like JoLynn and her team want to hear from you. And I promise nothing is insignificant.
Yeah, it's so true. And truly, when I bring product process to teams, we want to focus on the customer and working backward from those customer needs and making sure that everything we build is addressing the root cause of what our customers are dealing with. So yes, there's no complaint or feedback too small. It is gold to us, and we want to make sure that we're capturing that.
So that's your first plug from the podcast is reach out to us if you're an existing customer. Hit up your CSM. We'll probably be reaching out to a lot of you at some point down the road too. But if you have feedback, don't wait. Reach out. We'd love to talk to you. So that's all great, right? I think Automox, we have a few thousand customers, right? Let's say over 3,000 customers, pretty easily. That's a lot of potential feedback, right? And I think the thing that is important to know is we don't just take the largest customer and only listen to them. We have like a representative customer that has a set of problems and a set of a certain responsibility set, and like that's not based on the size business that they work for, the amount of money that they pay us for the services. So that's really important to know if you're like wondering if your feedback's valuable. But my point there is, let's say you get feedback from 1,000 different people, you're probably not going to have 1,000 different features on the roadmap next quarter, as much as I'm sure everyone would love that. So what goes into prioritizing that and then getting to work on the short and the long-term roadmap?
Yeah, so definitely, like I mentioned, we take customer feedback very seriously, and it is at the core of everything that we do. But how we spread that out is we want to address, you have the 80-20 rule. We want to address the 80% who are seeing the same issues across the board, who need a solution that's different than what they see now. So that is really how we prioritize. We use reach and impact in our prioritization process so that we are ensuring that we're reaching across our customer base and also measuring that impact to them in what it is that we're doing. So that is kind of how we prioritize. And then in addition to that, when we prioritize, we want to also look at the balance of the gaps that we need to address in the product that we offer. And like I mentioned before, those differentiators. So we want to make sure, again, that we're offering things like remote control, broader OS coverage, device management. But then additionally, we're getting into a space where we're giving you actionable insights. We're doing that autonomous patching and only raising alerts on things that need you to take action. And then, like I said, strategic partnerships. How can we make ourselves the action layer in the tools that you are already using? So we want to make sure that we're both taking care of the needs that are core to our product, but also differentiating and making your lives easier. So as we look into the rest of 2025 and going into 2026, that's really going to be our two areas of focus.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's probably another good opportunity for a plug. If you have tools in your environment, maybe it's a ticketing tool, maybe it's a CMDB or something else that you really think that we should integrate with. I'm sure the team would love to hear what that is and what you need it to do. Another great prompt that you had in there that I completely forgot to mention at the top of the hour is broader OS coverage. One of the things that we've committed to with macOS specifically is day zero support on new versions of macOS. Obviously, Tahoe is coming out imminently. It probably will already be out by the time this podcast is live, but we've built a new agent for it. We've tested it out. It's getting released right now. So if you are wondering how you're going to manage Tahoe or future macOS new versions, that's day zero support is something that's really important to us, and that will be supported with Tahoe and beyond most likely. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for the time today, JoLynn. Great to introduce you to the Automox podcast listeners out there. And I'm sure this will wind up on the LinkedIn page as well at some point. So again, if you have questions, feedback on the product, etc., please reach out to us. You're going to see a big push from the team to to speak with customers and get a lot more feedback. So we're looking forward to that, but we need your help and participation.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And thank you, Peter. I'm so excited to be here and looking forward to working with our customers and building out as we go into 2026.
Excellent. Well, yeah, we'd love to have you back on as we start to build out our vision for 2026. Maybe we could have a conversation about that on the podcast. But until then, thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you again next month.